Hello. General Hospital today will reveal the chilling developments at General Hospital have confirmed that Anders Hove has officially returned, reviving the manipulative and psychologically tormenting legacy of Caesar Faison. For longtime viewers, and especially for Anna Devane, this reawakens a nightmare she thought was buried in the past. The January 16th episode marks a pivotal turning point not only for Anna's mental state, but for the trajectory of the entire canvas at GH. This isn't just a callback to an old villain. It's a calculated psychological ambush that puts Anna in the center of a torment she may not survive emotionally intact. In the latest episode, the lines between memory, hallucination, and reality began to blur in disturbing ways. Anna appeared to be under the influence of a mysterious sedative or hallucinogenic agent, though it's not yet clear how it was administered. What is clear is the increasing unraveling of her mind as carefully planted visual and auditory cues began to torment her. First, she envisioned Liesl Obrich 10 apparition that immediately sent her spiraling, as Liesl has always been linked in Anna's mind to deception, manipulation, and trauma. But that was only the beginning. As the scene progressed, Anna noticed a cigar specifically, one of Faison's signature cigars. This was no random object. For Anna, that small item was an immediate trigger, plunging her deeper into psychological disorientation. It was more than a memory. It was a symbol of a man who once had a terrifying amount of control over her life. And before she could make sense of it, the unthinkable happened. Faison's voice echoed through the room, broadcast from a hidden speaker, taunting her with the ghost of her past. Though Faison is dead or believed to be the trauma of his presence, is being resurrected with surgical precision. What makes this development even more sinister is its design. It's not simply a matter of Anna experiencing PTSD or vivid memories. This is engineered psychological warfare. It seems someone is deliberately drugging Anna with a compound that triggers vivid hallucinations and heightens her paranoia, particularly around the memory of Caesar Faison. The deliberate use of his cigar and recorded voice proves that this is a targeted campaign, meant to destabilize her and distract her from investigating something much larger. Whoever is behind this wants Anna mentally fragmented, not focused. This chilling manipulation is especially dangerous because it targets Anna's deepest vulnerability, her unresolved history with Faison. Their tangled past, filled with power plays, emotional manipulation, and psychological domination, remains one of the most complex dynamics in GH history. By reviving that trauma in such a disorienting way, the perpetrator is not just hurting Anna, they're strategically dismantling her ability to fight back. Fans have naturally begun speculating about whether Anders Hove's voice was actually used in that haunting broadcast. While ABC has not confirmed whether the lines were newly recorded or repurposed from past episodes, the voice's chilling familiarity sent shockwaves through the audience. If it was Hove, then GH has pulled off a masterstroke of soap opera resurrection, blending past and present in a way that threatens to unravel Anna's entire world. And even if the voice was merely a recording, the implications are the same. Someone out there has access to Faison's psychological arsenal and knows exactly how to use it. What's even more disturbing is that this method of attack, covert chemical manipulation and induced hallucinations, is a signature move that feels hauntingly familiar to the old WSB and DVX tactics. That alone raises questions about whether this is the work of an individual seeking revenge or a remnant of a larger organization that once trained, protected, or controlled people like Anna and Faison. Could there be a new player stepping into Faison's shoes, or worse, continuing his legacy? As Anna continues to spiral, she risks becoming isolated from those who care about her. If her friends and colleagues mistake her visions for a mental breakdown or paranoid delusions, they might dismiss her cries for help at the very moment she needs them most. And that is precisely what the mastermind seems to want. Anna, alone, confused, doubting her sanity, unable to distinguish reality from illusion. The storyline promises to evolve into one of General Hospital's darkest psychological arcs. In recent memory, it's not just about the return of a villain, it's about what happens when trauma is weaponized with intent. As fans wait for confirmation on whether Anders Hove is physically back, or if this is a ghostly manipulation from the grave, one thing is certain: Anna Devane is being hunted not with guns or bombs, but with memories, fear, and the most dangerous weapon of all, doubt. And in a world like Port Charles, where enemies hide behind familiar faces and even the dead don't stay buried, Anna's fight for her sanity is only just beginning. The confirmation from Soap Opera Digest that Anders Hov's voice was used at the end of the January 16th episode added a chilling layer to the psychological torment Anna Devane is experiencing. Although his physical presence has not yet been seen on screen, the undeniable sound of his voice marked a sinister turning point. It confirmed that Caesar Faison, or at least his lingering influence, has returned to haunt Anna in a new form. The use of Hov's voice, whether through old recordings or new audio crafted specifically for this moment, signifies that he has resumed the role of only as a psychological weapon, designed to destabilize Anna's already fragile state of mind. In the days that followed, Anna continued to be haunted by disorienting images and unsettling experiences, unable to separate reality from illusion. The week of January 19th through 23 is expected to deepen this psychological unraveling, as Anna is bombarded with further messages allegedly from Faison. These messages seem carefully timed and placed, meant to exploit her deepest fears and reopen old traumas that she has long fought to bury. The voice itself is not merely a haunting echo from the past, but a sharp and deliberate tool, being used to attack her from within. Every word, every whisper from that voice chips away at her clarity, manipulating her into questioning her own perception and judgment. At the center of this psychological assault is Pascal, portrayed by Mark Forget. His role is becoming increasingly evident as an operative carrying out a larger scheme. Pascal appears to be responsible for engineering the environment in which Anna is being broken down. He may have been the one who programmed or played the synthetic version of Faison's voice into Anna's room, using high-quality audio equipment to simulate presence and proximity. Whether the voice was artificially generated or pieced together from archival material, the effect on Anna is the same, a profound sense of dread and confusion. Pascal's job is not to physically harm Anna, but to mentally paralyze her. He operates in the shadows, creating scenarios designed to isolate her, to turn those around her into potential threats in her mind, and to remove any sense of safety she once had. What makes this assault particularly cruel is its surgical precision. This is not a broad or messy attempt to frighten her. It is focused, specific, and deeply personal. The timing of the hallucinations, the symbolism of the cigar, the selection of Faison's voice, it all suggests an intimate understanding of Anna's trauma and psychology. Whoever orchestrated this knows her well. This is a long game designed not only to distract her from uncovering the truth, but to destroy her from the inside out. The strategy is not to kill Anna, but to make her lose herself entirely. The confirmation of Anders Hov's voice and its scheduled reappearance suggests that this is not an isolated event, but a structured narrative device meant to be played out across several episodes. Each recurrence of the voice tightens the psychological noose around Anna's mind. It is not simply about fear, but about control. The longer the voice haunts her, the more she begins to doubt her own instincts, her memories, and even her sense of time and space. That kind of erosion is slow but devastating. For someone like Anna, whose life depends on sharpness and intuition, losing the ability to trust her mind is more dangerous than any weapon. Pascal's actions likely serve a deeper objective, possibly related to a criminal syndicate, intelligence organization, or personal vendetta. His obedience to the next phase of the plan indicates that he is not acting alone. He is part of something bigger, something calculated and organized. The reintroduction of Faison's voice is just the beginning. It is a test of how far Anna can be pushed before she breaks, before she becomes a liability to those around her, or before she is driven to some irreversible choice. Whether she will find allies in time remains unknown, especially as her reality becomes increasingly fragmented. The question still lingers among fans: is Faison truly dead? For now, the show maintains that he is, but the use of his voice and the psychological precision of the attacks against Anna suggest that death may not be the end. Even from beyond the grave or from the illusion of it, Faison continues to influence events in Port Charles, and with Anders Hov's voice once again echoing through the halls of Anna's mind, The boundaries between past and present, between the dead and the living, continue to collapse. No matter how this psychological game unfolds, it will be fascinating to see whether Anna continues to only hear Faison's voice, or whether her hallucinations eventually progress to seeing him as well. The blurred line between trauma and manipulation is becoming increasingly difficult to distinguish. If Anna's mental deterioration continues, there is a strong possibility that she could begin to fully visualize Faison. In front of her, his presence conjured so vividly that she loses all trust in her own perception. The fear, of course, is not just what Anna will see, but how she will react. Whether her visions become more immersive or remain auditory, the damage is being done, and it is both calculated and escalating. The very real threat is that the illusion of Faison could become so convincing that Anna might begin to act on those visions, potentially endangering herself or others. Regardless of whether Faison ever physically returns, Anders Hove has now been partially restored through this carefully constructed illusion. His presence, even limited to sound, has already achieved the desired psychological impact. Anna has been manipulated into believing that Faison may still be alive, and that alone is enough to destabilize her emotionally and mentally. This restoration of Faison's power, through voice alone, is one of the most terrifying strategies ever employed against Anna. It exploits not just her memories but her very identity. She is a woman defined by control, instinct, and resolve. To rob her of those foundations by making her question her own sanity is to undo everything she has built. The campaign against her is not physical, it is existential. Meanwhile, in a separate but equally intriguing storyline, Andrew Hawkes has made a chilling debut as director Ross Cullum, a new antagonist with deep ties to the WSB. His arrival is not merely a background detail. It signals a growing corruption within the intelligence networks that once protected characters like Anna. Cullum is not a lone operator. He is seen collaborating closely with Jens Sidwell, played by Carlo Rota, another figure known for his manipulative tactics and shadowy dealings. Together, they are commanding Jack Brennan, portrayed by Chris McKenna, who is already a controversial and dangerous figure in his own right. This unholy alliance suggests a far broader and more organized conspiracy than initially thought. If Ross Cullum is indeed issuing orders from a high-level WSB seat, then the implications are enormous. It means that the very agency Anna once served is now compromised at its core. Sidwell and Brennan are no longer rogue elements, they are executing an agenda that may have institutional support. This turns Anna's ordeal into something even more tragic. Not only is she being psychologically attacked by an enemy from her past, but she may also be doing so with zero allies left in the organizations she once trusted. Ross Cullum's influence is especially concerning because he appears to represent the cold bureaucratic cruelty of modern espionage. He is not dramatic or erratic. He is calm, precise, and ruthlessly efficient. If he is behind the strategy to resurrect Faison's voice and target Anna, then he is doing it with methodical cruelty. His interest may not be personal, but rather rooted in eliminating threats or leveraging old assets, like Faison's legacy for greater control. With Sidwell acting as a liaison and Brennan as the executioner, Cullum is sitting at the top of a chain of command that now treats moral boundaries as obsolete. The convergence of these two storylines, Anna's descent into manufactured madness and Cullum's rise as a key puppet master, may not be a coincidence. It is becoming increasingly likely that the use of Faison's voice is not simply a ghost from the past, but a weapon created and deployed by the new regime within the WSB. If so, then the emotional and mental assault on Anna is not just personal vengeance, it is part of a political restructuring, a cleansing of old agents and ideals that threaten the new order. As Anders Hove's voice continues to reappear, week after week, and Anna edges closer to the brink, viewers are being drawn into a psychological thriller, unlike anything General Hospital has done in recent years. The questions mount: will Anna see Faison again, not just in her mind, but in the flesh? Is this all an elaborate trick, or is Faison's return being engineered on a genetic or surgical level? And most pressingly, who can Anna trust when even her own thoughts can be weaponized against her? In this dark, twisting chapter of Port Charles, the true villains may not be the ones we see, but the ones we hear and the institutions that silently allow them to speak again. In the coming week on General Hospital, Ross Cullum's role is set to intensify as he receives and issues a series of highly specific directives, reinforcing his status as one of the most dangerous figures currently operating within the shadows of Port Charles. His alliance with Sidwell and his commanding presence over Jack Brennan already hint at his deep entrenchment in the WSB's darkest corridors. But these upcoming instructions appear to mark a turning point in his involvement. These aren't just general orders or vague bureaucratic goals, they are targeted, precise maneuvers designed to alter the balance of power, and possibly to silence certain figures permanently. Cullum is not just a man with influence, he is now a man pulling strings, and the ripple effect of his next moves could be catastrophic. Despite the cold and calculating image he projects, subtle hints suggest that Ross Cullum may not be completely invulnerable. As his presence grows stronger on screen, so too does the potential for his weaknesses to emerge. These may not be dramatic flaws, but rather cracks in his armor, human vulnerabilities masked beneath layers of protocol and power. Whether these come in the form of misplaced trust, emotional triggers, or a past alliance that could resurface and undermine him, viewers are beginning to suspect that Cullum's reign won't be as clean or untouchable as it initially appears. In the world of espionage and deception, even the most meticulous leaders can be undone by one overlooked detail or one wrong move. If his opponents or even his subordinates begin to exploit those vulnerabilities, the consequences could spiral quickly. Elsewhere in Port Charles, the courtroom drama is heating up again. Tim Lowney-Bose is confirmed to return as Judge Sullivan in several upcoming scenes that promise to bring high-stakes tension following the verdict tied to Willow Kane. Portrayed by Caitlin McMullen, Judge Sullivan has become a familiar face in the legal battles that have defined several recent GH arcs, and his presence is a signal that the fallout from Willow's decision will not fade quietly. His role is likely to be crucial in reinforcing the legal consequences of Willow's actions, while also setting the tone for further developments involving those on both sides of the courtroom. The return of Judge Sullivan also brings with it increased screen time for Assistant District Attorney Justine Turner, played by Knot's contractor. Her character has been slowly gaining prominence, and the upcoming courtroom sequences offer her the opportunity to step further into the spotlight. As legal tensions build and ethical questions arise about how far the law should bend for personal interests, Justine Turner may become a key figure in navigating those murky waters. Her role will likely involve challenges to existing alliances, strategic moves in the face of moral compromise, and perhaps a bold attempt to reassert justice in a system increasingly pressured by personal agendas. All of this suggests that Port Charles is on the brink of a multi-layered eruption, one that combines psychological warfare, institutional corruption, and emotional collapse. The threads are tightening across every sector of the canvas: espionage, law, medicine, and personal relationships, with Ross Cullum issuing more refined commands, Anna Devane slipping deeper into a psychological spiral, and the courtroom becoming an increasingly volatile battleground. The show is preparing for major collisions. Characters who once believed they were safe whether due to power, loyalty, or legacy are now being forced to reassess their positions. Leaked spoilers and behind-the-scenes teasers suggest that the drama is far from over. In fact, what's already happened may only be the groundwork for something far more explosive. The intricate web being spun around Anna, the strategic rise of new players like Ross Cullum, and the reactivation of legal pressure through characters like Justine Turner, all point to a storm of conflict that will likely dominate the weeks to come. General Hospital continues to layer its stories with political nuance, emotional trauma, and moral ambiguity, proving that in Port Charles, no one remains untouched for long. Stay tuned, because every whisper, every courtroom ruling, and every directive from behind closed doors may shift the game completely.